Now, we are going to be having an interesting conversation. I am very much interested in this one. I am sure you would be too. Now, yesterday, there was a court case. The Food and Drugs Authority was in the Supreme Court about celebrities endorsing alcoholic products. This conversation has been going on and on. We have had these conversations off air, on air, talked about it amongst each other, peer groups and all of that. We have a video to show you. Then we come back to the studio to talk about it. Let's take a look at the video.
No personality or professional shall be used in alcoholic beverage advertising. However, Mark Darlington, an artist manager, believes the directive is and unconstitutional. He filed a suit at the Apex Court, praying the court to enjoin the Food and Drugs Authority Articles 17 Clause 1 and 17 Clause 2 of the Constitution to mean that the directive is discriminatory. But in a majority 5-2 decision, the Supreme Court, presided by the Chief Justice Gertrude Tokonu, upheld the constitutionality of the directive. President of the Ghana Music Alliance, New Ofoli Yate, who represented Mark Darlington, however, expressed disappointment with the decision and noted that further engagement will be held with the FDA regarding the directive.
The judge did mention it was in the ball case, and we're actually happy it came to them. We don't agree with the outcome, but we have to take it as it is. There's nothing else we can do about it.
Does this end the advocacy to have celebrities to be able to advertise for alcoholic brands?
No, we would definitely still go on, probably find different ways to go about it. But at the end of the day, we still see some type of work that the musicians do with the brands, which is the alcoholic companies. So hopefully we have the ways around it.
Director of Legal and Corporate Affairs at the Food and Drugs Authority, Joseph Benny, however, debunked claims that the directive is affecting the income of celebrities, stating that they have alternative options available to them.
We are not denying our celebrities a means of income. There are other things that they can advertise.
This is a major potential.
No, it is not. I don't want to mention names, but there's one person is now advertising food products. He moved away from alcohol, and I think he's doing so well with other food products.
You said there are potential somewhere else they should look at.
Yeah, the other products that they can advertise. A lot of products. A lot.
For example.
Oh, food products are there. Soft drinks are there. There are medicines out there. They can advertise. We allow all those products to be advertised.
The Supreme Court, by a unanimous decision, also affirmed a Court of Appeal ruling not to restart the criminal trial of former Cocoa Board.
Now, that was a report from our very own Hansen Ajiman, our court correspondent here at ChannelOne Television, as well as City 97.3 FM. You know, I told you from the beginning of the show that, see, every day we do the show alone. Today, I started the show all by myself, and you may be wondering, where is Kweku? He's here. He just appeared. Kweku, welcome back.
Thank you.
Not that you were here, then you vanished for a while. You are back. I missed you, but just a little.
Oh, thank you. That sounds so sweet. Oh. Missed you too, by the way.
Oh, anyway, I'm sure the viewers missed you too, but it's good to have you back.
It's good to always be on air. I love being
Of
here.
course.
Yeah.
Uncle Kweku, we've watched the report. You know, you and I were talking about this
Yes.
from last night,
Yes.
even before we went to
Yes.
bed in our
Yes.
various homes,
Yes.
of course.
Yes.
And the conversation continues this morning. I don't know, how do you feel about this?
Well, I think it's a decision in the right direction because it sort of puts things on hold for a moment. Allows us to breathe, to say, okay, really, as Ghanaians, what do we really want as far as this space is concerned? Now, I would like to say that a lot of spaces in Ghana have been ungoverned for a long time, right? For example, you know that in all our neighborhoods, mine included, yours included, and when we grew up as children, you see it all the time. There are corner shops, corner stores, pubs, bars, sports. That children
underage
are running the sports for their parents. We see it. Do you understand? That is actually illegal. But somehow it's an ungoverned space. So it goes on. So again, I also understand the sentiments that people have when they say, "Oh, but I mean, seriously, if we really are worried about influence for children, we need to do a lot more than just stop celebrities from promoting." That makes perfect sense to me, right? But I also say that maybe it's just the first step, but I think it's a step in the right direction.
Anyway, you know, you and I were speaking about this morning, and I said I am very happy about this decision by the Supreme Court. But Kweku, on the flip side, we see children, I mean, you give birth to a child from the home, and their very first point of contact, the people they relate with, emulate, see, do things, and even pick up characters from are the parents, are their siblings, their very environment, even before they get exposed to see celebrities. These days, children have screen time. They watch cartoons, they watch things on the tablets, they watch videos on YouTube and other websites. A child can be watching a video on your phone, and then in the video, the advertisement content is placed in the middle right there. It is not a pre or post.
Favorite character.
Hold on. It is not a pre or post content, a promotional content. It is in the middle there somewhere. So the advertisement has to play for the video to continue, and the child is exposed to that. It could be by their favorite celebrities, their well-known media personalities, or even off or on air, very popular people. Again, it could also be from ordinary people. Whoever it is, the child is getting influenced. These cartoons we watch, are there celebrities playing the roles in the cartoons? No, but we see all sorts of social vices, a lot of promotions in cartoons and animations and all of that. Do you understand? So I feel like, I mean, this is a step in the right direction, but there's still more work to be done. Because this will not solve the whole problem. Anyway, now we have in the studio joining us Hansen Ajaman, who is a reporter right here at ChannelOne Television, as well as CT 97.3. He's going to be joining us to more of the discussion on this very topic. Hansen, good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for joining us.
You're welcome.
How are you doing?
Well, I'm great. We can't complain.
All right. Now, you were in court yesterday. You saw the whole proceeding and everything that went on. Tell us, how was it and what was the whole proceeding about?
Well, so yesterday was for judgment. Judgment has been due for about a month or two ago. So if you remember the day that the Richard de la Sky case was heard at the Supreme Court, on that day, the case was initially scheduled for judgment to be delivered. But because there were a number of cases for the Supreme Court to handle, that case and others were adjourned sine die for another date to be scheduled for for the judgment to be delivered. Prior to that as well, it had been scheduled for judgment, but on some occasions, the Supreme Court finds it important to adjourn. And so yesterday, so every week the Supreme Court comes out with what it describes as the cause list, listing the number of cases that will be heard. And so that case was part of it, and so went to the Supreme Court, and it was one of the very first cases to be called. And basically, it's a constitutional matter, and at the Supreme Court, for every constitutional matter, you need at least seven judges, at least seven judges to sit on it. And so yesterday so 7 people heard the entire matter, but only 6 were around when the judgment was being delivered. Now, out of that, out of the 7, 5 agreed with FDA that the guideline is not unconstitutional, and that the guideline is not discriminatory, and 2 were on the side of the plaintiff, Magdalene. And so what usually they'll describe as a 5-2 majority. And so what happened is that the Chief Justice just indicated that they've dismissed it without merit. And the very reasons for which they took the decision will be made known when the final judgment has been published, which we have been told hopefully by Friday it should be out.
So the judgment has been given, but the reasons for their decision is what we're waiting to be brought.
Essentially.
How do you feel about this? I mean, yourself personally, and also as a journalist, how do you feel about where we're heading in terms of this decision that's been taken?
Well, so I think it's in passing an opinion, it's important to put it into context. And so this guideline came in 2016.
Okay.
But the promulgation started as far back as 2013. Okay. Now, if you look at the guidelines gives its own introduction and reasons for which the guidelines have been implemented. So the reasoning for the guidelines includes making sure that advertisement of foods are conducted in a manner which is responsible and does not mislead or deceive the consumer. And also, when it comes to the advertisement of alcoholic beverages, it is to ensure and to reduce the exposure of minors to such advertisements. And so minors basically are those who are below the legal drinking age, which in Ghana is 18. And so the guideline, when it was being promulgated, those who were, their thinking was, how can we protect young people from being exposed to alcoholic beverages? Now, so as part of the guidelines, so there are a lot of guidelines. And you remember, as a media, as a media house, we cannot accept any advertisement of alcoholic beverage between the period of 6 a.m. and 8 p.m. So that's one way the people thought we need to protect the young people. Because 8 a.m. to 6 a.m. to 8 p.m., almost often, I know young people are around, they are watching TV. And so the thing is that most likely after 8 p.m., they are asleep. And those who are of the legal drinking age can see those adverts. Then, as part of it, they said, well, anybody at all can advertise for an alcoholic brand, but no well personality. And so I think that it's important that we also make this point known, because its implementation and the conversations around it has been about celebrities. But the law is broad beyond celebrities. So the guideline is that no well-known personality or professional shall be used in alcohol beverage advertising. So no well-known personality and professional. So a lawyer, a doctor, an accountant, which usually we know are professionals. So in the thinking of the framers of this guideline, if you're a professional, you cannot advertise for an alcoholic beverage. Then comes the no well-known personality. And in that instance, the guideline itself attempted to define no well-known personality. And so well-known personality includes any person who arouses sufficient interest in society. This may include historical, political, religious, academic, cultural figures, as well as celebrities and sport figures.
It's a wide.
So it's a broad it's a broad guideline. So all your sports celebrities or sports figures, your political figures. I mean, we know the politicians, those who are known.
Kudus can't advertise.
Some judge cannot advertise.
Some judge cannot advertise.
Cannot advertise. So basically, that is so the guideline is broad, but in its implementation, the FDA appears to have been more focused on the part of the celebrities, and also the FDA have also been more focused. The celebrities have also been more concerned because it appears they are the people who have always been contacted by these alcoholic brands to advertise for them.
I mean, you already have a large following, so then it makes business
basically
sense.
It looks like it's targeted towards them. And so my first opinion is that it is not targeted at celebrities. Right? So if you look at it, it is not targeted at celebrities. Which is a very important point.
Yeah,
because it looks as
though... Because you can easily look as though it's just celebrities.
It looks as though FDA has a problem
with celebrities.
But as clearly stated from the guideline itself, it's not the case. It cuts across.
It's very broad.
Now, beyond this, there's the other issue that, of course, you need to recognize that these are celebrities and any other person, and being a model for a brand brings money. So it's a financial stream. It's a source of a potential source of income.
Yeah.
And so you want to agree, or even if you don't agree, at least listen to the argument that this is a potential source of income that you are stopping us from getting.
Yeah.
And so that's why when they went to court, they went on the spirit of Article 17. Now, if you look at Article 17 of the 1992 Constitution, it says all Ghanaians are the same. That's the first thing. Then 17.2 goes on to say that no person shall be discriminated on the basis of color, sex.
I like it.
All those things that you can think about usually are indicated in some of these conversations. And so a person shall not be discriminated against on grounds of gender, race, color, ethnic origin, religion, creed, social or economic status. And so they've been arguing that they are being discriminated because of their economic status as being celebrities. This is what they do, and they are being. But the Supreme Court basically says that is not the case. As to why the Supreme Court says that is not the case,
they'll bring the explanation.
Then they'll bring the explanation tomorrow. Now, so this brings me to my second opinion. So now, as a people, we need to look at whether the FDA's view of protecting children from being exposed to alcohol. And I mean, just call anybody you know who takes in alcohol. That person will admit, even to him or herself, that there's a need to restrict the intake of alcohol to certain persons, whether the person is of a legal drinking age or not. And so that grounds a point that children need to be protected. And so between the need to protect children and then the economic interest of well-known personalities. I don't want to limit it to, I don't want to be limited to celebrities because it keeps the conversation.
It's true, very true. I like that.
Of well-known personalities, between the two, which of them should we be tilted more towards? I think that we should be tilted more towards
the children.
Yes.
But then the question arises: is this directive in itself preventing children from being exposed to alcohol, right? And so we've taken a decision that, well, we need to protect the children. You have your economic right, but the protection of the children outweighs the economic right. However, children are still exposed regardless. What does that portend for us? Does that mean we should ignore the directive? Or does that mean that we should come up with more stringent measures? I don't. And
remember the comment I made earlier about ungoverned spaces. You know, we have the rules, they are there, but the enforcement seems to be lacking to the extent that a lot of things go untouched, unspoken about. You know, until there's a major problem, it seems we just leave things to be.
That's true, and I mean we come from a community, or we live in societies where certain things are normalized, like your uncle asking you to buy some tots from the back when he's about to take his Saturday fufu, right, or Sunday or too, right? And so, but can we look at solving that problem and still have this directive? Do we have to leave this directive? Say that now well-known personalities, including celebrities, can advertise for alcoholic brands and then say that, okay, that we are going to fight our own cultural problems. Would that help?
I wonder.
Or let us keep it this way and say that you cannot, as a well-known personality and a professional, which includes celebrities, advertise for an alcoholic
in terms of,
and then go ahead to now look at how we can fight these alcoholic these exposure to young people. You know, every corner you pass, you are most likely to see
Oh, yeah.
a shop that sells
Oh,
alcohol.
yeah.
And so perhaps should the conversation be geared towards
Controlling
Advertisement.
these,
controlling
limiting the
them?
number
What
of them.
license
Yeah.
should the people,
People have.
within what radius in a society
Yeah.
can people
Can
sell
you cite?
alcohol?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is where I think the conversation should head towards. I don't think that
I agree with that.
because there are cultural problems to exposing children to alcohol, it should ground
Okay.
a reason for us to revoke this guideline.
All right. So, Hanson, earlier I caught up with Darlington, Mark Darlington, the plaintiff for the case, and we had a quick conversation about, why he took it to court, his thoughts and everything after the court ruling came out. Let's take a look at the conversation I had with him. Darlington outside joining me on Zoom right now, and I'm going to have a conversation with him, especially after the ruling from the Supreme Court yesterday, what his thoughts are about all that has been happening. Of course, he's the plaintiff in the case. And so, Mark, good morning.
Good morning, David. Good morning. How are you doing?
Very well. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad. Not too bad.
Yeah. All right. So just walk us through what your thought process was, why you felt the need to take this particular issue to court.
I think when the ruling came out, we thought, this is a bit strange. If the intention is to protect the public, why haven't they banned everyone from advertising at all? Why a select group of people? So we went out to do a bit of research to find out if there are any such test cases about or empirical data about the influence of celebrities in relation to alcohol. Yeah, there is influence in terms of, dressing and the culture and all of those things, but we didn't find any decent or proper empirical data. So I'm with the Ghana Music Alliance. So we engaged the FDA on a Zoom meeting, which was quite interesting and fruitful. And then we expressed our concerns about the directive. I know it had been in place for a few years. So it was sort of back and forth. It was quite, it was quite civil. And we brought out a few things to look at in terms of the FDA and also what is happening elsewhere. Yeah. And they said, okay, well, I think you've got some brilliant ideas. We'll invite you maybe over and then we'll sit down and have that discussion. That didn't happen. I sent an email follow-up, nothing happened. So down the line, looking around the world, we've seen UEFA Champions League being played on TV in Ghana, Heineken sponsoring. You see, I think it's about responsible advertising. So we thought it was unfair and discriminatory. Why, if someone is excelling in their area of practice, why can't they also have the chance to advertise? After all, FDA sanctions and approves all adverts. So if they feel it's not responsible, they would approve it anyway. And there are already rules in place where you can't advertise between maybe, I think it's 6 a.m. and 8 p.m., etc., because of the younger ones. Billboards, you can't do all of those. And so there are quite a few things in place. And we thought there is a wider conversation to be had if we think, if we want to protect the younger ones, especially we see parents send their children to go and buy drinks. We even have some corner, activity bars and stuff where children are serving. We have all of these bars and pubs in residential areas. Children are passing by. They see people with a lot of bottles of drinks on the table, etc. So we are like, no, it's a bigger conversation. It's just targeting a small group of people because they've excelled in their area and they would have an influence. I would have thought if they had that influence, why wouldn't the FDA actually team up with them to go on their campaigns to educate them? So so that is why we took it to court. First, we wanted clarification on whether it breached the Constitution, where it says we shouldn't discriminate against people based on their occupation, etc. And also for the Supreme Court to maybe sort of order them to remove that sanction because we felt it was discriminatory. Okay. So yeah, that was why we took it to court.
Okay, all right. Now, yesterday after the ruling came out, what were you thinking? What was going through your mind when it all happened?
We knew it would be an uphill task going against two big governmental institutions, the Attorney General's office and the Food and Drugs Authority. It was always going to be an uphill task, but we were hopeful that the case that we put together, the Supreme Court would look at it and rule in our favor and maybe direct the FDA to maybe review and put in better measures that won't sort of discriminate against a group of people. Yeah. And we were disappointed with the ruling. But the fact that two of our esteemed Supreme Court judges actually supported or voted for us as opposed to 5 for the FDA, yeah. I think it wasn't a fool's errand. We had a case. Otherwise, it would have just been a total, blackout from them. So we are obviously very, very disappointed because think about it. No one knows me. I can advertise, endorse a product within a month. Yeah. I'll be popular because I'll be on the screens everywhere. Yeah. The FDA will not stop me because I will still have 11 months on the license to advertise. So the 11 months, won't I be influencing people? I will be. Maybe at renewal, they will say, we can't renew because they are now well known. That's fine. But there are quite a lot of gray areas. Yeah. What they are trying to do is a good thing to protect the public, especially the younger ones, which we support. Yeah. But the way they are going about it, I think we should be working collaboratively, not just targeting well-known persons. All right. Because they have that influence.
Okay, so quickly in 10 seconds, what are you going to do next? Anything, or are you just going to leave it?
Yeah. No, we're waiting for we haven't got the full judgment, details of the judgment yet. Hopefully tomorrow we should receive it. Okay. Once we receive it, the legal team will go over and then see if there's any next line of action we need to take, or if we're just going to leave it and maybe continue the campaign by sitting at the table with FDA to see how best we can get a compromise.
All right. Thank you so much for speaking to us. Really appreciate your time this morning. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you, too, for having me on your platform.
All right. Sai, he is the plaintiff in the case of the celebrities, promoting alcoholic beverages and so on and so forth, and the FDA on the other side of things. All right, so that was my conversation with Mark Darlington Osai. And so Hanson, your thoughts. Mark says that he's not walking away entirely. He still thinks that there's other things we can do. He is interested in having a sit down with the FDA to further look at details of things so that everyone wins at the end of the day. That seems to be his motive.
So, per the legal structure, Mark has the opportunity of going for a review. Okay. So the Supreme Court has the powers to review its own decisions and change from it. So after receiving the judgment, if they so think that the judgment was an error on the face of the law, they can go back to the Supreme Court to say, we brought you this and you decided in this way. But if you consider A, B, C, D, you would have to decide in the other way. So there's the option of going back to the Supreme Court. And then the Supreme Court in its decision has not said the policy cannot be changed. Neither has it said, if it has said that the policy is unlawful, then that one, because of case precedence, there's going to be a challenge going to Parliament to change it. But when it says it is lawful, and most likely when it leaves it that is a policy rationale that the institution has taken, there can be enhanced engagement with bodies like the FDA to re-look at the guideline. And so all doors are not closed. And if they go back to the FDA
Yeah.
and they're able to push superior arguments to the FDA, perhaps the guideline may be revised for it to reflect appropriately how both parties may find a solution out of the way. And so there are options available to Mark and anybody who is interested to still pursue this matter.
Hansen, I want to ask you, if you're a brand owner or a business owner and you're producing alcoholic beverages, this judgment has been passed. What do you think is going to be the effect of advertising and the relationship between popular people, people of interest, professionals, and these companies?
Well, you know, when it comes to advertisement, the need is to push a certain market, right? There are general advertisements, and then there are targeted advertisements. And so the general ones are make your product look appealing, get people to purchase your product because of somebody who is vouching for same, right? And of course, this guideline makes it impossible for an alcoholic brand to go to Sarkodie, who I like very much.
Go to even Hansen.
Well, well, that may be debatable, but go to Sarkodie, who I like very well, and who maybe if I see Sarkodie holding a can of a certain brand, I may be, you know, interested in getting that can as well. And so that is the only effect it may have on these brands. But of course, there are a lot of marketing strategies to adopt to be able to still push their brands out. I mean, they've not, since 2016, we've not had well-known personalities, including celebrities, advertising for alcoholic brands. However, they are still selling them, and people are still buying.
People are still buying,
Yes, and one of the brands that actually goes out with a lot of people not campaigning for them, and people still purchasing same alcoholic brands, and because it's a matter of a lifestyle. And so if indeed you have a good marketing team, you would find ways to make sure that people imbibe into the idea that your brand is the best. But of course, the conversation will continue based on the public, the need to protect children, and also the economic rights of whoever this directive
What
has
I found
affected.
interesting, Hansen, was that in my reading up in the last couple of days, I also came across the Advertising Standards Authority of the UK. Okay, and they have similar guidelines to what the FDA has. You know, so I thought to myself, okay, this is actually not strange. You know, and I was pleasantly surprised to see that the reasons for the way their regulations work are quite similar. You know, and they are also very much interested in protecting young people. And so they say that anybody who can be seen as a role model for young people should not be seen to be promoting, you know, some of these products as well. So yeah, it's interesting times.
Well, the FDA, of course, will have to open its doors to these persons and let them understand. And perhaps even use them on, you know, no alcohol or responsible drinking campaigns. And so I think that there's a chance to have a win-win situation in here. But it brings a good conversation that all persons who are interested should add their voice to same. And I think that the conversation should be contextualized and make sure that at least we get the benefit out of the engagements that we are having at the moment.
Fantastic. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you very much, Hansen. Well, I personally will be looking forward to the whole judgment tomorrow when it's released, because as we said, we've narrowed the conversation down to celebrities, but there's more to that than that. So Hansen, thank you so much for joining us. Now we've been speaking to Hansen Agyeman, who is our court correspondent here at Channel One Television, as well as City 97.3 FM, on the ban of celebrities advertising for alcoholic beverages. The conversation still continues here on Breakfast Daily as well as on social media. I would like to hear from you, so do keep the conversation coming in using the hashtag Breakfast Daily.